coming to the hands and the knees. First, just align the wrists beneath the shoulders, the knees beneath the hips. Flare out your fingers broadly and extend the crown of your head forward and the tailbone behind you. We're just toning the abdomen. So if you look up here, when I let my abdominal wall go flaccid, here's what happens to my back. And so we're just toning the abdomen so that the spine is super long from the crown of the head to the tailbone. Relax your jaw and tongue. Breathe. Chakra Vakasana is this process that we refer to as cat-cow. And so you're going to catch your next inhale. You're going to lift the face towards the sky, lift the tail towards the sky, fill the abdomen with breath. And then on the out breath, the navel drives up and you use that momentum to arch the back to eliminate the breath, the tail and the chin tuck down. And then you go again. The breath pours in, the heart pours through. Exhale. Evacuate the breath. Eliminate anything stale or stagnant. And then go again. We like to say that the breath is the capsule and the movement exists within that capsule. Now, it doesn't have to make any sense to you right now, but it will. After this next breath, you're going to evacuate all the breath and then come to a nice neutral spine. Let your right hand travel in front of your left hand and get a little sticky. Make some purchase on the mat. Sit about halfway into the right hip. And here, it doesn't matter what you do with the head. Head can just dangle. What you do want is big breath into the right ribs. One more breath. Just noticing how nice it is to wake up some of those sleepy places. Come up to the middle. Replace the right hand, turn the toes under, lift the hips. First down dog of the evening. Go ahead and shake it out. Wiggle and wag. Shake the head yes and no. Nice. Yeah. Good. And then without moving them, just take a look at your hands. Just look at your hands. Just notice. Good. Then come on down to the hands and knees again. So they say that if the knuckles are lifted up off of the floor, it's like having high heels on your fingers. Which might be very fashionable, but it doesn't help with the yoga pose. So as much as possible, apply all of the fingerprints, knuckles, and roots of the fingers onto the mat. Let's do a couple more rounds of cat-cow. Big breath into the belly, expanding your experience. Both of inhale and exhale. Your body loves to breathe. After an expression, come to neutral. Send your left hand in front of the right. Make that little purchase and sink halfway into the left hip. Big, big, rich breath into the left ribs. Stay right there. Breath is flowing. You're really feeling left hip sinking in the opposite direction as the left fingertips reaching. And then using that directional current to expand the space between the ribs, stretching the intercostals. Nice. Bring your hands back around to center. Replace the hands on the floor, turn the toes, lift the hips. The Sanskrit is Adho Mukha Svanasana. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let's repeat that one word at a time. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Beautiful. Again, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Brilliant. All right. Let the knees descend. We're going to take the right leg back, toes turned under. Tiptoe over to the left. Take a look over your left shoulder. So we have that directional current again, and the opportunity to explore. Here's what I'll invite you to do. Press into the left heel just a little bit more. Feel what that feels like. Nice. And then if you look up here, it will make sense when I say, send your left hip point up towards the sky and feel what that feels like. Or drop your left hip point down even more and feel what that feels like. 2 breaths, gentle, exploratory movement. And then replacing the right knee, sit the hips back for a child's pose and the opportunity to observe the difference between the 2 sides of your body. Please be specific to enumerate those characteristics, meaning name it. What does it feel like in the right side compared to the left? Is there more space, more flow, more circulation, more ease, more density, more tightness, right? Just notice, name it. And then we'll balance it with the second side, coming up to the hands and the knees. For symmetry, left leg lengthens, toes turned under, tiptoe, tiptoe over to the right, and then look behind you. A lot of options, a lot of opportunity. You can't do it wrong. So breathe. Two more rounds of breath. When you're complete, left leg returns, toes turn under, hips rise up. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let's say it together. Adho Mukha Svanasana. One more time. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Good. Okay. Let's continue. A little sweet stretching by picking up the right foot and hanging it on the back of the left Achilles. So you just kind of land it, let it hang there, and then press more deeply into the left heel. Feel that stretch. Notice the distribution of weight between the hands. Good. And then change legs. Right foot returns to the floor. Left foot hangs on the back of the right Achilles. Press, press, press into the right heel. Nice. Knees, or excuse me, left foot comes down, both knees descend to the earth. Separate the knees a little more broadly, and then sit the hips back. This is child's pose. Arms extended out front, hips sinking onto the heels. Always come back to this pose for any reason at any time. When you're teaching or sharing yoga with anybody, remind them that they can always come back to this pose. So I'll ask you to inquire within. Where am I? When am I? How am I? Good. Bring the hands onto the low back. Stack the hands, palms up. On your next inhale, sweep the right arm up beyond the head, come up to kneeling. Have a little baby back bend at the top. Exhale, you're going to return. As the hips sink to the heels, the right hand replaces the left hand rises, reaching beyond the head, lifting. Beautiful. Proceed. The breath is the capsule, and the movement is contained within that capsule. 2 more. Ah. Now slip the hands forward, hands and knees to down dog. And we're going to keep with the dynamic motion. So when you're willing, exhale the knees to the floor, hips to the heels. Inhale, shift forward to the hands and knees. Happy cow. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, happy cow. Exhale, down dog. Keep going. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, happy cow. Exhale, down dog. One more. You know what to do. Stay in down dog. 3 breaths. All of the parts of the hands connected to the floor. All the toes separated, vivid. Allow the knees to descend. Come up to kneeling. Step your right foot forward. Right hand palm up. Left hand on the sacrum. Watch first, please. We're going to inhale in our little baby back bend, and you're going to invite both shoulders to be in line. There's a tendency to do this. And so we want to keep the heart and the hips square. When you're ready, sweep that right arm back, square the heart. Nice, that's exactly right. And then go just a little bit deeper in the front knee. Notice what you're thinking. Drop it. One breath. The next inhale is going to pick you up and all the way over. Both hands come inside the right foot. 90 degrees in the knee. Drop to the outer edge of the right foot. There it is. Good. Now, walk your hands over to the left. Let your head and torso hang here. Ooh. Feels really good. While you're here, go ahead and open up your mouth as big as you can. Stick your tongue out as far as you can. 2 more breaths. Bravo. Walk your hands back to center. Bring the sole of the foot flush to the floor. This time, turn the back toes under so that you have that stability. Sweep the arms, both skyward. Dip a little deeper into the front knee. Yep. One more breath. On the exhale, let the hands travel down. Pick up the back leg, step forward. Reach behind you, clasp opposite hands, weave the fingers together, and see if you can squeeze the palms towards each other. Good. Let go. Move energy down the outside and backs of the thighs. Come all the way down the feet. Deep breath in as you take the arms up, rising. Capture a little prana between your palms and bring it down the heart line. When you get to the solar plexus, turn your fingertips down and just ground. Just stabilize and pause for a moment. This is Tadasana, mountain pose. For your perspective. So I've mentioned the capsule of the breath, and the movement is inside that capsule. Some say the breath is the envelope, and the movement fits in the envelope. And so the idea is that the breath starts first. And so just watch. The inhale comes and then the movement follows right on the heels. It's an inhale followed by the movement. And then just as I get to the top of the movement stops and then the breath. So it's like the breath is on either end and the movement is in between. Then the breath begins on the exhale, the movement follows, the movement ends, and then the breath ends. Does that make sense? Okay, so just playing with that as we move through the second side. Deep breath in, take the arms up. Exhale, lovely bow forward. Soft knees, right foot steps back, knee to the floor. Come all the way up to kneeling. Back toes can be turned under to just stabilize the body. Left hand palm up, right hand stabilizes the sacrum. Sweep the right palm into the space behind you, and then see if maybe drawing the right shoulder forward. Ah, glorious. Whoa. Inhale up and over. Both hands come inside. Left foot, drop to the outer edge, and walk your hands over to the right. Open up your mouth, stick out your tongue far. Loosen the jaw. 2 more breaths. Good. Walk the hands back in, sole of the foot on the floor, sweeping both of the arms up. Dip a little deeper into the front knee. Really nice alignment. One more breath. Get real vivid. On the exhale, let the hands travel down. Left knee goes back to meet the right. Downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let's say that together twice. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Nice. Good. Enveloping the movement with the breath. Exhale the knees to the floor. Right foot forward. Up with both arms. Anjaneyasana. Deep in the bend in the front knee. Watch. If this is the front base ribs, draw the front base ribs into the body. Impeccable. That was beautiful. And now lean back a little bit more. Good. Big breath into the heart. Exhale, lean back a little bit more. Good. In-breath brings you up and over. Hands to the floor. Pick up the back leg, step forward. Hands behind the back, weave the fingers together, give a little squeeze. Exhale, release the hands, grounding energy, like moving it down the legs. And then inhale, sweeping the arms up to capture more life force. Draw it through the system, down the heart line. When you get to the solar plexus, you root. Tadasana. It's the mountain where we go to see clearly and far. Envelop the movement with your breath. Again. Right leg back, knee to the floor. Come up with the arms. And the bend. Drawing front base ribs into the body. And leaning back into the mystery behind you. 2 breaths. Good. Up and over. Pick up the back leg and step it forward. Hands behind the back, weave the fingers together. Exhale, release the hands, ground energy down the outside and backs of the legs and out through the baby toe side. You might just give it a little fling if you want to. This is a Qigong technique. And then rise up on the breath and light down the heart line through the whole central channel. Take the arms up. We're going to go slowly. First, pick up the toes, flare them out, and then let them lightly land back down. Now, shift weight to the heels, a little bend in the knee. Good. Front base ribs pulling into the body as you sit a little bit heavier. Now the toes are light, you got it. The toes are light and the heels are heavy. The heart is lifted, but that's the weird part. They call this chair pose, but more accurately, it has been called awkward pose. Now, traditionally, the Sanskrit is Utkatasana, and the translation is fierce pose, which should start to make sense about now. As the heels become a little bit heavier and you sit a little bit deeper, but also lift your heart. Oh, yeah. Now that feeling that you're feeling right now might have a heat signature. It might be stirring. It might be aggravated. It's fierceness. It's your own fierceness. Don't be afraid of it. Sit a little heavier into the heels. Lift your heart a little bit more. Pick up the corners of your mouth in a smile. Big breath in. On the exhale, fold and let go. Release into this bow. Soft knees. Right foot travels back. Knee to the earth, rise up. Sit deep. Travel with the breath. Hands to the earth. Pick up the back leg and step it forward. Weave the fingers together behind you, give a little squeeze. Lift the shoulders up out of the ears, if that makes sense. And then grounding energy. So what we're doing is we're just dispersing any staticky energy into the earth. We're grounding it. And then inhaling, we're receiving all life force, drawing it, inviting it in to the system. Feeling stable and sure. Rise up. Sit back. Care to guess the category of the 5 categories, the subcategories of your spinal orientation? What could this be?
The energizing.
Definitely, definitely. Which brings us to this part, so you can start to guess Is it a forward fold? Is it a back bend? You said it's energizing as we lift the heart a little bit more. This is a back bend, heavy in the heels. Ooh, nice. One more breath. Exhale, release, really let it go, especially if you hated it or loved it. Don't let it make an impression. Just let it do its work. Trust that that practice provides. And as you release the pose, step into the next moment. Let's go ahead and move both feet back and knees to the floor. Somehow, anyhow, come to the hands and the knees. Let's sweep the right arm towards the sky. So follow your thumb with your eyes. And then thread it under. Let your right arm come down, come to the back of the arm, shoulder, maybe the right ear touches down. Good. Try this. Using your left hand to grasp your right hand. Pull the right hand under even more. So get the shoulder under it a little bit more, increasing the torsion. Nice. And then press the back of the right arm into the floor to just feel what that feels like. Now, the one rule is going to be don't strain. So you don't have to over effort, but rather you get into a little sticky place and then let the breath do the heavy lifting. So take 2 more rounds of breath. See if you can protract, elongate, or broaden your experience of inhale and exhale. Good. Left hand supports you to the hands and the knees. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Down. Adho means down. Mukha means face. Svanasana is dog pose. So downward facing dog. Beautiful. Very nice. All right. Let the knees come down. You're going to follow left thumb all the way under. So go ahead and try that thing where your right hand gets hold of the left hand and draws it under just a little bit more. And then with that increased torsion, you might even press the back of the left hand into the floor. Do not strain. Rather, experiment with broadening the breath. Bravo. Right hand supports you to a tabletop. From here, come up to kneeling. Let's send the right leg out to the right. The orientation of the toes makes very little difference. So toes can be pointed in any direction. It's whatever your body likes. But do please align the heel with the knee. So right heel, left knee are in the same line with one another. Right hand on the thigh, but no weight in this arm. Let the left arm travel up to the sky. Internally rotate the palm, deep breath in, and then on the exhale, sweep over towards the right. So again, your right hand is just kind of a guideline as you're reaching left fingertips towards the right. Nice. Now anchor the left knee more. Beautiful. Come up, change arms. Right arm reaches up, internally rotate the palm, and now do this little counter maneuver where you feel the whole right side body long. So connected from the outer edge of the foot all the way through the fingertips. Deep breath. Come up to the middle, trade legs. Right knee comes down, left leg lengthens. Very good. Right arm up. Sweeping. And then once you've found the edge, anchor again through the right knee. Up, second side. Good. So feel a line of energy from the outer edge of the left foot all the way up through the fingertips. This line of energy just pulsing. And then come back up, bring the knees together once more, hands onto the hips. Okay. Couple of little hacks here. Ustrasana is camel pose. And this is a back bend that is deeper. And I would say that this is probably going to be our apex tonight, meaning this is going to be the highest energy aspect. So here's some of the hacks that you want to use. First would be that you can separate the knees more broadly than the ankles. And so if the ankles are about hip distance apart, the knees can be about double that width, and it just makes the pose more accessible. Second hack would be turning the toes under. Now this is just a matter of stability. It happens to be that when the toes are turned under, because it's so familiar to us, like this is our foot orientation, we tend to be more stable. Whereas if you bring the tops of the feet down, it just makes it harder. It's just a harder pose. So pick whatever you like here. I'm going to suggest turning the toes under for tonight. And then we're going to do the back bend. You've heard this cue, and you'll probably be sick of it by the time we're done, but it's going to save your backbone and save the backs of all of your students over and over again. If you tell somebody to root their tail, you might get this or any manner of things. Rooting the tail just means to send the tailbone directly down. So because we just tend not to have a lot of proprioception here, the better cue to accomplish that is draw the front base ribs into the body, and your tail goes bloop directly down. And so you can just do that and then press the hips forward. And here you're already in the back bend. Now hug the elbows a little bit closer and notice that the heart lifts up. Are you breathing? And now we're going to encapsulate the movement with the breath. Go ahead and take a sweet inhale. The eyes are lifted, but not the chin. Have an exhale, just lean back a little bit more. Nice. Now, draw the front base ribs into the body. It's super subtle. Draw the elbows a little closer to each other and lift the heart. Lean back a little bit more. Go ahead and reach the right hand for the right heel. Hey, you got it. Change hands. Bring the right hand back onto the sacrum. Left hand for the left heel. Beautiful. Now go ahead and take the right hand onto the right heel also. Good. Front base ribs draw into the body. Lift into the heart. Take the eyes up. Press the hips forward. Press the hips forward so much if you weren't holding onto your ankles, you'd do a somersault. Oh, good. Breathing, one more breath. Replace the hands on the sacrum. Come up, hands to the floor. And so this is an important part. We're not going right into a back bend. That was a pretty heavy or a forward fold. So kind of like you wouldn't take a paper clip and bend it back and forth. We're not going to go from a deep back bend to a deep forward fold, but just to a tabletop and a twist again. So this time, right thumb, stay focused, up, and then under, thread the needle. Now you'll know that you've leaned back too far because you will roll backwards onto your back. And know that you are perfectly safe to do that. And so please feel free to experiment with really leaning into the space behind you, that mystery behind you. Use your left hand to support you. Take 3 more breaths right here. Around. Let the left knee light back down, unwind to the middle. Plant the hands firmly, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Good. Better, yeah, better at the hands. Really, really nice work.
That feels better.
Knees to the floor. Rise up to knee. Turn the toes under, broaden the gap between the knees if that's what's right for you here. Front base ribs drawing into the body, hips pressing forward, heart lifting. Maybe you're going for the heels. Now, if you get hold of the heels, once again, hold on to them so much that when you press your hips forward, that if you didn't have hold of them, you'd flop forward. Last piece, jut the chin forward, pivot around your uppermost vertebrae to drop the head back, nestled between your shoulder blades. One more breath. Slowly returning, one hand at a time, shifting to a tabletop, left arm up, thread the needle. Right hand supports you by crawling around beyond the head as you send the right leg out long, foot on the floor. Good, you got it. Nice, Sydney. And now the option to sink back into the mystery behind you. Two breaths. It's your complete unwind. Sneak back around to the middle. Press to down dog. Nice. Stay right there in down dog and play with the cue, front base ribs drawing into the body. Oh, brilliant. Oh, that was beautiful. One breath. Good. Let the knees come back down. Go ahead and shift and set your legs out front. So broadening the gap between the legs makes a forward fold more accessible. What you want to consider is active feet, feet activated or flexed as if they were standing on something, protects the knees. And that's the same for any posture. And so they call this yoga foot, right? And the idea is that you are active and toned in the feet. It turns out that there's a ton of cortical real estate in the brain for the feet. And it's because we ambulate, we navigate our planet, with our feet. And so when you can cue up and activate your feet, what you're doing is you're really bringing a lot of, cortex online, a lot of brain power to your advantage. So this might be all that you do. In a beginner's class, like I said, this might be inaccessible to some people. And just as we've been sitting here and I've been yapping my flapper, have you noticed a little bit of heat? Okay, this is a core strengthening pose. This is just adjacent to a boat pose, which we'll do next so that you can see. So spine is tall, sits bones are obvious. Try this. Make your heels press down a little bit more. Good. Relax that. Make your sits bones press down a little bit more. What you might have noticed is that it calls on your core strength. Okay, good. So now go ahead and hook the hands underneath the knees and just float the feet. Go ahead and draw the thighs together. Good. All right. Here, we reconcile the various aspects of what we're doing by calling on the abdominal structure particularly. We can ensure that it's the abs that are doing the work rather than the legs or the back, the paraspinal muscles, but doing this. Draw the shoulder blades together behind you, lift the sternum. Perfect. That puts the agency in the abs. Good. So here it is really common for a tremble to kick in. And if you're in a yoga pose and a tremble begins to happen, congratulate yourself, because what it means is that you're on the threshold of breaking into something new, some new strength, condition, capacity, mental, emotional, or physical. And so if you've got a little tremble here, that's a good thing. Check in again with your heart. Can you lift the heart, lengthen the legs, float the arms, have a breath. And go ahead and release it and let the feet come down and slip onto your back body. Well done. So Navasana, that pose is boat pose because of the shape of it. But if you put your hand on your belly, you might even be able to feel the heat that you cultivated through that pose. And what it's doing is it's sending energy into the solar plexus. This is the seat of digestion. And so we've had a lot of lecture tonight. We've had a lot of practice tonight. And so now we're just taking all of that information, feeding it into the belly where it can be digested and assimilated. From here, you're going to press the feet down, pick the seat up and set it over to the right, like 3 inches, just a little bit. Then lengthen the left leg, rest the heel on the floor. Get hold of the right knee with the left hand. And then let your right arm just rest on the earth. Yeah, good. Start to bring the right leg across the body over to the left side of the room. Beautiful. Keep going and you'll find the floor. Nice. Now you might scooch your left shoulder blade over to the left a little bit to kind of get the right shoulder onto the floor more. Nice. All right. Twists are balancing and will bring energy into the solar plexus. It's for digestion and assimilation. So for this next part, again, no strain. I'm going to give you the cue. If it doesn't make sense to you, you won't be the first. But I'm going to give you the cue. I'm going to let you test it. And then I'm going to come over and show you manually so that you can see exactly what I'm referring to when I give you this cue. Okay, top right hip. Send your top right hip down and forward. And so towards the foot of your mat, down and forward. Okay. Now that little adjustment is just to give you an idea about what is available space-wise in the lower back. It just takes the torsion down into the lumbar spine a little bit further. Okay. One more breath right here. And because we're here and we can, lengthen the right leg, send energy through the heel of that foot. Yeehaw! And then come back around to the middle. Bring the hips back to center. Please pause and feel the difference between the two sides. It should be remarkable. Name it for yourself. What is the sensation? What are the qualities of your experience? It could be anything. Darker, lighter, hotter, colder, lesser, greater. Just notice. And then we'll twist the second part. Hips shift over to the left, maybe 3 inches. Lengthen the right leg, heel resting on the floor. Grasp left knee with right hand. Draw it across the body. Scooch the right shoulder under just a little bit more. There's the eyes. Deepen your awareness of breath. Maybe on this last breath, it feels good. Lengthen the whole left leg and press into the heel of the foot. Ooh. And then unwind. Return to center. I'm going to invite you to take a block for a supported bridge. And so in this pose, the feet are on the floor so that you can pick the hips up and slip the block underneath the sacrum. You have 3 stations. You have like a low station, a mid station, and a tall station. And I would say start with the middle station, because if you get here and you're like, I need it higher, you can go higher. If you're here and you say, I need to go lower, you can go lower. So if you start in the middle position, then it lets you gauge whether or not you want a deeper back bend. And that would be just placing the block at its tallest station, or whether you want something a little more subtle. So a couple of details, and that is the block goes closer to the tailbone than to the waist. So it's really low on the hips. And then the full weight of the body is just resting, yeah, on the blocks, or on the block, excuse me. Notice your toes. Huh. Mhm. So I'll tell you that that observation says everything about your particular tendency with your hips. And, you know, whether you, let's say, favor one side compared to the other, or whether you like turn a particular direction more than the other. And so it's interesting that from a teaching perspective, this posture says a whole lot more than just, you know, the flexibility of a back bend. The toes tell all the tales. So we're going to stay here for a time. This posture is safe to do for 10 minutes. We don't have 10 minutes tonight, but we do have another 90 seconds or so. If you would please close your eyes. Notice the breath. Breathing in. I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out. I know I'm breathing out. Now, really mindful of your feet, feeling all four corners of both feet on the floor, toes and heels alike. Press your feet down equally enough that you can pick the hips up just an inch or two, and then just sweep the block away. Let the spine return, let the hips return. And then windshield wiper knees, side to side. Oh, so good. Now for the last posture, we're going to do a restorative pose so that you don't get too relaxed because you have to drive home. I'm assuming, unless you walked here today. So we don't want you falling asleep. And so the restorative posture that we're going to use is called reclined goddess. Please take a dying breath. And I mean a deep, emphatic inhale and let it go with a sigh. Ah, truly expressing the completion of this practice. Yeah. A couple of times if that feels good. This is a vagus nerve stimulation technique. It helps us to relax. Signaling the parasympathetic nervous system. And signaling the universe that you trust the practice and that the practice provides. Tip your chin just a hair towards the chest and feel the back of the neck long, relax. As the breath continues to flow easily. You notice there's a gentle rise and fall at the belly. Allow the tongue to uncling from the roof of the mouth if it happens to be. Let the tongue be broad and flat amidst the lower row of teeth. Just relaxing the jaw, the cheek, the temples. All the little thread muscles around your eyeball starting to unwind, unravel. Your eyes resting in their little nests. Unfurrow the brow. Allow the head and shoulders to sink back as all the last residue of muscular tension drains out of your arms, chest and shoulders, biceps, triceps, elbows, forearms, wrists, palms, fingertips, just dripping in relaxation. Hips sinking. Tops of thighs melting into backs of thighs, melting into the mat. The knees Feel good, spacious. As you feel at last bits of muscular tension draining from the calves and shins and ankles, tops of feet, soles of feet, every single time, letting go. Enjoy this part. flow that spreads to people. There's no hurry. So as your awareness begins to rise to the surface, just observe how you feel. Notice the qualities of this moment, especially if it feels good. You want to be able to recognize it again when it happens. And deepening the breath one more time. Starting to come back to the body with a little smile. Maybe brushing the thumbs across the fingertips. Shifting the head. When you're ready to gather up your knees, just roll over to your side like a little baby, just resting in embryo pose. Please take this opportunity to cultivate gratitude. Whatever you can think of to be grateful for, and then let it effervesce. Build on that. So grateful for this time, this space, for yoga, for smiles, for breath. And then bring that appreciation up as you come up to a seat and we close our practice. Palms meet in front of our grateful, appreciative hearts. It is my honor to guide your practice. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will close with this word, and it is Shanti. Shanti means peace. Shanti.
Shanti.